guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how to make my caramelized onion burgers. They absolutely couldn't be easier to do, but it's really a match made in food heaven. We're going to keep the burgers super juicy. We're going to caramelize the onions to perfection, top it with some fresh tomatoes and some crisp lettuce, a good little mayo. Just trust me on this one. It's going to be delicious. Let me take you over some of the ingredients so we can get started. You're going to need some ground beef. You're going to need 2 yellow onions, large, that I've sliced. You probably could get away with just 1 large one. I've got some salt-free steak seasoning, Worcestershire sauce, salt and pepper, olive oil, big hand of parsley, some garlic. You're going to need some unsalted butter, and just a few additional ingredients back there, which I'll talk about when the time comes. But for now, let's turn this baby on because we're going to get started on the onions first. To the butter, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. The butter gives you a buttery flavor that goes really well with the sweet onions, but the olive oil has a higher smoking temperature, so a higher cooking temperature, so it's not going to burn really quickly. And both of the flavors together are pretty fantastic. Now, if you can find one of those really giant yellow onions, you probably could just get away with 1, but you know, mine are regular sort of large yellow onions, so I use 2. And I'm making 8 smaller burgers today rather than 4 or 6 big ones. Just because that's just how I feel like making it today. Just melting the butter, and then we'll add in our onions. That looks good. All right, I'm just going to add the onions in right away. I've got my heat on about medium-high. I'm going to eventually turn it down a bit, but this is looking good for now. I'm going to season this with some salt and pepper, and I'm also going to add in just a small pinch of sugar. Not a lot, about a teaspoon. It really helps caramelize the onions better and bring out their natural sweetness. That's why I like to add it. You can certainly leave it out if you want to, but just a little teaspoon isn't going to hurt anyone. Just give this a good stir and break up the onions as best as you can. I kind of cut them into half-moon pieces. And just using my wooden spoon, I'm just separating them as much as possible. All right, these are looking good. Now what I'm going to do, because I need a space on this stove top here, I'm going to move my onions to the back stove, and I'm going to let them cook for about 10 minutes on about medium heat. Turn the heat down just a bit until they've got a nice caramelized color. I'm going to constantly check on them. I'm just going to pop them in the back, bring my grill pan over, and start making our burgers. So when my onions are going, we're going to get going on the burgers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop really well my onions and my parsley. Not my onions, my garlic and my parsley. Just chop it as best as you can. You can also grate the garlic if you want to, but I'm just going to chop it all up. That looks good enough. Just going to bring my bowl close to me. Put that right in there. Now, when you are buying ground beef, try to get, you know, grass-fed, a good quality, but most importantly when you're making burgers, my favorite sort of my sort of mixture is 85% lean, which I like to use a nice sirloin, 15% fat, and to me chuck is perfect. So there's just enough fat to keep it moist, but it's still pretty lean, so it's not overpowering and sort of almost gamey a little bit. So it's perfect balance in my opinion, but you can use whatever mixture of ground beef you prefer. To that I'm going to add in my steak seasoning, my Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire, you say tomato, you say tomato, however you pronounce it. Now, when you're using any kind of pre-packaged blend, like I'm using the steak seasoning, always buy salt-free, because there's so much salt in pre-seasoned, packages that by the time you add enough seasoning to actually taste it, you will have oversalted your dish absolutely. So you don't want to do that. Now I'm going to add in my ground beef. And I'm just going to mix everything with my hands. I want to do this kind of quickly because I don't want to compact the meat too much. Otherwise, it's going to get, the burgers are going to come out like super, heavy and dense. So just work quickly. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to score this in half. And out of each half, I'm going to get 4 burgers. Because again, I'm making them kind of on the smaller side. So just going to put it in my hand and then flatten them and then make a little indentation in the center, because what happens is when you cook burgers, they puff up, and if you don't make an indent in the center, then you're going to get like a dome. But I don't want that. I want them all to be nice and flat. So make an indent so by the time it puffs up, it's the same level as the rest of it. So try to get them as thin as possible because they will shrink as they cook, believe it or not. They'll shrink a lot actually. It always shocks me. Every time I take the burgers off the grill, it's like, really? Where'd that come? I put them on there, they were a quarter pound, and I take them off and they're like this big. I've got my patties formed. I've got my grill pan onto about between medium and medium high heat. Not hot, medium high, but not medium. Just somewhere in the middle. Drizzle a little bit of oil on here so nothing sticks. I'm just going to put them right on back there. Now these are going to cook, well, honestly, the amount of time these cook is up to you. If you like them, super well done, they'll take about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. If you like yours about medium, a little bit less, they'll take about 3 minutes or so per side. I'm a 3 minute or so per side kind of gal. I don't like my burgers to be cooked for too long. So I'm going to put these on here, wipe my grease, wash my hands. Woo! Wash my hands, get everything ready, and we'll start plating these babies up in no time. Those are looking great. All right. All I did was I just flipped them halfway through, about 3.5 minutes on each side, flipped them, topped them with some shredded gruyere, and then I just did a little foil tent just to help the cheese melt better. Now, while those are still going for just another second, I'm going to actually turn them off. I've got my little cute little buns here that I've already cut in half. But before I get to those, I want to just mix together my mayo and some coarse ground mustard. I love coarse ground mustard. I think I prefer it more than Dijon mustard, and I definitely love it mixed with mayo. Just a really, really thin layer of it on the burger. Lettuce and tomato just complements each other really, really well. And I also have my onions here that are perfect and ready to go. So let's just start assembling these. I'm just going to I'll do 4 for now, and then we'll do a few more after. A little bit of our mayo. Again, I only put it on one side. You can definitely put it on both sides if you want to, or I'd like to just put the bowl on the table and have my guests kind of help themselves. Because if they want more, they can put more. If they don't want as much, then they don't have to. A little bit more on that one. I'm a little bit stingy. Then I'm going to put a couple of slices, or 1 slice of tomato on each one. Look how beautiful they are. Oh, gorgeous. Then I'm going to go with the burger. And then I'm going to top them with our sweet caramelized onions. I love caramelized onions. I love them on cheesesteaks. I love them on chicken cheesesteaks. I love them on any kind of burger. On the side, if you're just making like a grilled steak, there's not a whole lot they're not good on. They're good on a baguette, just on their own. It is what it is. They're delicious. And then a slice of romaine or iceberg lettuce or whatever you've got to kind of hold everything in place and just give you some extra crisp and freshness. And that is it. I mean, how gorgeous did they look, huh? I'm going to take this one and kind of dig in. Let me bring a plate close to me because if there's any juices that are going to leak, I want to get them covered. Actually, let me grab a knife so I can cut it in half. Oh, yeah. Look at that. We have built like what I like to call the perfect burger. If I can get this in my mouth. Everything about this is sensational. Juicy burger, sweet onions, crisp vegetables. Finger licking good. Go to laurainthekitchen.com and get the recipe. Make sure you have lots of napkins handy when you are eating these. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.